Okay, so as I was just saying, this is how you get the figure on to the paper if you do not have a printer or any other way of doing so. These are the finished ones that I've done. These are actually printed or photocopied just so that I can do as many as possible. They're actually good to have around if you plan on doing multiple characters, because this allows for you to just photocopy or print it out and work on costume design, which is pretty significant in terms of identifying a character. But you obviously have to get these there. So this is how you do it. Right now I have my turnaround and I've got this with me. You can use any turnaround that you want. So there's the male and the female one. I'm going to do the female just because my character that I'm going to do is female. So first thing to start is to do a straight line at the base of the page. So I usually do the width of the ruler just because that is the easiest way to create a straight line. Then you're going to draw a straight line up and down. Give yourself enough room because remember, half of the body will be on one side of this line, the other half will be on the other side of this line. So I want to make sure that there's a good amount of room to spread out the drawing. Oh, I may have... Okay, so there's one straight line. And okay, I just try to make it as even as possible. So just taking a little bit. Sorry, I keep losing my pencil. There we go. Okay, so there's my other straight line. Now I have two straight lines on the page. It looks like this. The reason we do this is the same reason we always do it. It's to ensure that the body stays straight. Especially if you're drawing at an angle, sometimes you don't notice that you're leaning to one side and then you look at your body and it's totally crooked. We want to avoid that. We also want to ensure that everything is even. So I'm going to create, again, another very, very small straight line just to identify where the top of my head is. So that the head is going to be the same on both bodies. And I keep the ruler with me because, again, we want to have all of these markers when essentially you do one and then you do the other. So I'm going to start with my head. It's going to be an oval because it's always an oval. All right, now I'm going to look at the turnaround that I used, and I'm going to use these markers just like I did yesterday to create the basic outline. Now I know that the head is the same width on either side and that creates the shoulders. So I'm going to use the head as a measurement and then I'm going to create the shoulders that way. So the line straight down and then I'm going to put the shoulders here. Okay, I'm going to put the waist about midway through the page. You can eyeball it and then you can check it. Maybe a little higher. Then the groin, obviously down a bit more. And again, feel free to do the markers and adjust them as you see fit before you move to the next spot. You want to make sure that everything is even. And we also have to remember, so if this is the groin, the torso from the groin to the head should be even to the legs. So groin to head. Okay, so that means that I'm way off because it's not even, so I have to raise it up a little bit. Okay, try it again. Groin to head. That's better. So it's equal. So that means shoulders are probably down here. And then arms. And we know from looking again that the arms, the elbows hit the waist. You can do it on your own body too. If you tuck your elbows in, they should hit the small of your waist. And the wrist hits about mid-thigh. So I'm going to put a circle here for the elbow, another circle here for the elbow. This would be about mid-thigh, so that's the hand, and then the knees are halfway through this line. Okay, so if you look, I have everything marked off. Now, I just connect them. Okay, so remember too that these are guidelines. It doesn't mean that it's like a hard, fast rule that you need to obey. You can alter this as you see fit. So that should be my waist, and then this should essentially be the groin. So if you look, I'm just kind of altering it. It's not exact, it doesn't need to be. All right. And I hope I've made it clear in the class, but maybe I haven't. We do not in any way, shape, or form endorse any specific ideal of beauty. So you could have your characters be curvier, you could have your characters be slimmer, you could have them be more obese, you could have them pretty much be anything. There is no ideal that I'm looking for. So if you have a heavier set character, I'm not going to be like, your character's fat, you lose marks for that. I don't care about their weight. I'm more concerned with the your actual ability to depict the body properly. So that kind of stuff doesn't really matter. Okay, so if you look here, I'm just doing the legs. It's easier when the person's standing straight forward because then you don't have to worry about like one leg being tucked back. And then as per usual, the feet are triangles, and then you just kind of like tidy it up. Okay, you can erase the markers as you go. These are her knees, groin, arms, hands. And I know hands are very difficult to draw, so I just block them in. Usually if you're going to do detailed hands, that's the last thing you work on. Okay, the body should be already on the paper, and then you can work on the hands. Okay, so if you look, this is a body. It's kind of hard for me to see because I'm drawing at the angle, but if I look at my screen, it's pretty much right. Now what you can do is you can adjust it. All right, so if you're like, I'm feeling for the character that I'm drawing, which is going to be more comic book based, comic book females have higher legs. It's just one of the things that they do in comic books, like anime does that too. So because that is the style, I am just going to raise up the groin a little bit to make it look more accurate. And then if I'm going to do that, I also have to raise up the knees. Okay, so this is essentially giving someone longer legs. The ankle would be right here, ankle would be here, and then remember the big toe is always on the inside. Sometimes people draw it and the big toe isn't on the inside, and I'm like, that's weird. It's a weird foot. Okay, so this is the basic female form. The male form, again, we've talked about this, works pretty much in the same way. Okay, so this is down. See how it measures up to my other one. My other one's a bit bigger, which is fine. It still takes up the majority of the page, which is what I would like for everybody in this class to do. We're not trying to draw miniature figures here. And then if you look here, I'm going to pull the waist in a little bit, and then it goes like this. Okay, then I can slim this down, or I can thicken it up, whichever you need. Okay, now that I have the character in, the next part, I don't know if you would count it as easier or more difficult, but you create the guidelines so that the two sides match up, which I think makes it easier. So that means you have to do a straight line where the chin is, a straight line where the shoulders are. It is very important that you make these straight. So if you have to take your time to ensure that the line is very straight, please do so. Okay, so I'm going to mark to where the breasts are, just so that they match up to the back. Okay, the waist, again, it's important that that matches up to the back. Groin. Knees. Okay, and those are all the clear identifiers that I need. Now, on my turnaround, there isn't really anything that shows the back. So if I were really, really confused, I would just pull up a Google image search and search back, essentially back of person. Now, the easiest way to do this is on your own body. If you feel your own chin and you feel the back of your neck, so right where they line up, your chin is lower than the very, very base of your skull. So that means the base of the skull is going to be higher. So it's going to be up here. And then you can do the head. That means that the neck is going to be up there as well. Okay, so if we look here, it goes down to the shoulders. Same rule. You can measure the head to make sure it's the same distance. So I got to make my head a little smaller. And then ensure that that head size is the shoulders as well, so that they match up. Okay. So here's where it differs a little bit. Now the breasts go over top of the arms for a female, and same thing for the pecs for a male. If you're doing a male, this would just be a pectoral. On the opposite side, your arms are forward and your back goes over. So the basic shape of a back is a V. You go from the shoulders and then you make a V all the way down. Okay, so this V should be at the very, very small of your back, the base of your spine, and then it will crest out into your buttocks. So you just adjust it now. You have, I think these are called scapula. They're also called wing bones. Your spine is right here. So this is going to represent your spine. And this is your waist. So just like there, your waist. Okay, so if this is your groin, because it matches here, from the back, this would be the bottom of your buttocks, or your glutes. Fun, slightly misogynistic note is that this is where the shape of a heart came from. See? A heart. Mostly because that was considered the ideal female shape. Okay, same thing here. The back of your knees are soft and bendy, so those need to be included. The back of your calves have like a little line there because that is the actual muscle. And then it's just going to be your heels. Okay, so you don't really have to even worry about doing toes. It's going to be heels. Okay, and then the last part is the arms. So there's my elbows matching up with my waist. And this is going to be the back of the hand. So really it just has to match up. Okay, scapula or wing bones, glutes, and then at that point I just erase all the lines. Okay, I do a little curve to indicate the back. And then sometimes there's like muscle dimples here, which indicates, that just tells me where the base is. Okay, so that is generally how you do the human form. Now the next part of this is very, very, very simple. What you're going to do is take your ink pen. So I need to actually find an ink pen. There you go. Take your ink pen, that could also be a Sharpie, and then you're just going to outline. Okay, super easy. You're just going to outline all of it. I'll only do one side because this video is starting to run a little long, but the idea is you do outline both sides. And you can omit everything that you do not want. So if you don't want these lines, don't include them. And like I told you before, the main reason we do this is because the next part of this is dressing the person. And if we dress the person, then we want to be able to have the pencils go in without all the smudging. You can, if you are confident enough, you can also do the inking, because you're going to ink the clothes in as well. You can do the inking before or after. That is totally your call. On my last drawing, I did it after. This one is just to create, so that you can erase some of these pencil lines if they get confusing. If they are not confusing, just wait. Okay, so there. And then what I'm going to do is take my eraser and just erase all the pencil lines from within the body. And what this does is it allows me the opportunity to draw without the pencil lines interfering with my drawing. Like I said before, you can do this either before you put the clothes on or after. The clothes do have to be inked as well, but you have to do it either before or after. Okay, so that's how you do the basic turnaround for the creating an original character assignment. The next part of this would be dressing them, and I will do that in a little bit.